Hey cats, EDDBUD back again with another video for you. A very popular shoe amongst the viewers of the channel. I finally got this one up to 100 miles or 160 kilometers, and it's my long-term review of the Reebok FloatRide Energy 3. A really superb value daily rocker. Let's get to it. Hey cats, welcome back to the channel. It's Ed, set up the Christmas tree bud here. If you're enjoying the videos and you haven't done so yet, help us out here by hitting that subscribe button, but also clicking the bell below for notifications of when we roll them out for you. And it really helps us out if you give this video a thumbs up like, but also share it with your running buddies. Merci beaucoup. Been far too long to get here on this one. 100 miles finally, 160 kilometers into the Energy 3. A quick recap here. I have this one in a UK size 11. It weighs 295 grams, which is 10.5 of your ounces. This is a shoe I purchased with my own cash. No freebies or anything. But you know you always get my honest opinions here. I call the camel a camel. That's how the phrase goes, isn't it? Or did I just invent that one? Now, Reebok reckon this is a 9mm drop, going by the information printed atop the insole. Other people reckon it's a 7mm drop, so yeah, dunno. In the heel, my pair has about 27mm of stack height at this exact moment, at 100 miles. I'll leave you free to make your own assumptions about all of that. We will start, as usual, with the upper first. Upper-wise, really enjoyed the Energy 3 from pretty much when I took it out of the box to now. Every time I've strapped it on the foot, it's brought a smile. Zero signs of wear anywhere in the upper whatsoever. And in fairness, it's taken on very little grime or dirt. There's a little debris there, little discoloration. Some shoes, you put them on one run and they look terrible, but this one kind of looks used, a bit like the patina you get on a really loved 70s or 60s guitar. Super easy to get a good lockdown here and dial in that fit. Just lace up and go, really. There's very little effort involved. You can use a runner's knot or a normal bow and you'll get good results. It's a bit like one of those international matches, you know, England play those qualifiers and 90% of the games are just really easy and they score like 4 or 5 or something. This is what that shoe's all about. The tongue here is nicely padded and appropriately lengthed as well. Is that a word? It is now. Does provide some really nice protection atop the foot and those dangerous laces. They're quite smooth here as well, almost like a silky feel to them. Try it out for yourself. Just make sure your other half's not watching while you do it. The tongue is heavily gusseted and doesn't move around too much on top of the foot. I never have too much of a problem with that with many shoes. There's only one or two where any real tongue slippage has been a problem, but this one certainly isn't one of them. Never really found the upper too warm or anything. Bear in mind I'm in the UK here and it's relatively mild. We have the odd day when it's like freezing and stuff, but yeah, that's not one of those times, even right now in the depth of winter. Been a few chilly days recently out there. In fact, yesterday it was bitterly cold, but today we're back to plus temperatures, which is good. Very few gripes in the upper at all here for me in the Energy 3. Just find it quite hard to fault it, really, over 100 miles. I will stay with my original score from the initial review of 2.9 out of 3 for the upper, only reduced very slightly by the somewhat long and voluminous last used to shape the shoe. It does make dialing in the sizing a little bit more difficult, or at least more difficult than it should be. Midsole, midsole, midsole now. So I think I gave this a 2.7 out of 3 after my initial runs for the midsole. How does it shape up now? I'm going to lower that score a little bit due to a few reasons I shall explain now. The slightly lower stack here gives a somewhat less apparent energy return. It makes it a great daily shoe, but it does start to fall down a little bit for me when you get into longer run territory. I was a little bit disappointed when I did use it on the long run. It was good up to a certain point, but then I just felt it was protecting me from the impact of the surface of the road and wasn't really doing an awful lot else for me. But that's okay. I mean, this is a daily shoe. It's not something that we're looking to run, you know, super fast breakneck speeds in. More of a dense impact absorber, this one, in the mold of the New Balance 1080 V11. Not one that I would reach for perhaps for faster intervals or some of those repeat sessions. Up to tempo pace though, it felt pretty good, just short of my half marathon target pace, and yeah, it was alright for sustaining for a short period of time. On longer plods, certainly a very comfortable number. Don't get me wrong, I still think the midsole's a winner here, certainly considering its cost, but I often incorporate faster paced sections into my long runs up towards my marathon or half marathon pace, and over those greater distances this just wasn't the shoe for me. Probably felt good for me up to about 8 to 10 miles, which is 12.8 kilometers through to about 16 kilometers. Yeah, I'll go with that, but not sure I'd really want to venture further in the Energy 3. Just not enough of an energizing ride for me. Yeah, maybe they should reconsider the name of the shoe, perhaps. Those more grueling sessions, I just felt it was kind of absorbing the impact, which is great, but I wanted a little more from it. That midsole mass in the Energy 3 at least is still very light, certainly when you compare it to other models like the Pegasus 38 or the more luxurious and plush Vomero 16. Only marginally heavier than my beloved Adios 6 as well. I think it's about 10 grams difference between these two shoes. Won't be too nasty to the Energy 3 though, it's got quite a low stack compared to the Adios 6. Really does make me wonder what this shoe would be like if it did have some sort of part plate in the mid to forefoot of the midsole. I think the main limitation here is that overly flexible midsole material, and I think that would improve the propulsion on toe off. So I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 3 after 100 miles for the midsole. Still a great score for such a cheap shoe. Outsole now. So looking at the outsole, almost no wear. I even got my magnifying glass out and went over it with a fine tooth comb, and yeah, it's minimal like a show home on a Sunday afternoon. Who's going to be going out there today looking at show homes? A cold winter's day. It's not going to happen, is it? The rubber protrusions have lost their patterned details here after 100 miles, but you kind of expect that really, right? They still remain stout though, and proudly stand to attention. Most of the wear is concentrated on the midfoot to forefoot area, and there is a little on the heel's lateral edge. Nothing to get me too worried though. It's not going to like haunt me like a nightmare or anything like that. It's fine. Absolutely fine. Found it works on pretty much anything aside from very muddy bogs. Not many people go running around in those. And they're all mad anyway. Road and tarmac, the traction is assured. And actually better than some of the race shoes that I've tested out this year that cost 3 times the amount. RC Elite 2, I'm looking at you. Certainly less wear here than I'm seeing on the bottom of the Rebel 2 from New Balance, and that's after about 67 miles, so yeah, I wonder what that one will look like when I get to 100. Nothing much really needs changing here on the outsole of the Energy 3, so please Reebok, leave that rubber alone. I'll give it a 2.7 out of 3 for the outsole after 100 miles. I think that still seems apt. It's the score I gave it after the initial run, and it's how I feel about it now. Do we need all this rubber? Well, I guess that's in the eye of the beholder. We'll talk value. Value now. I think with this durable and somewhat versatile shoe discounted to below 60 Earth credits here in the UK, on a very regular basis, it's hard not to consider this for daily use alone, and at 100 miles with almost no wear on the outsole and no signs of damage or deterioration in the upper, it really is still a winner. There's no real change or major change to the nature of the underfoot feel either. You get a lot of shoes that change quite a bit over 100 miles, but this isn't really one of them. It just carries on doing what it does. A little bit like status quo. You know, you don't go to status quo concerts hoping for some ballads or something, do you? You want some hard-hitting rock with Telecasters and men smacking the strings as hard as they possibly can. And white trainers as well, that's why you go to status quo concerts. Anyway, let's get this review back on track. I occasionally get comments from serious runners. They suggest this isn't a serious running shoe. Well, I'm telling you it is, okay? It is. Really ridiculous comments like, oh, that shoe will fall apart within like 20 miles or something. Well, look, it's absolutely fine, okay? Sorry to let you down, but that's how it is. I think you can get a great deal of value from these shoes if you pick up a pair. They'll no doubt appeal to people around this time of year. People are short on cash right now. Let's be honest about it. They've got families to feed, bills to pay, and all that kind of stuff. And when a shoe comes along like this for a very reasonable price, it's a winner. You see all the positive comments, people picking up these and really enjoying them. So I will reduce my value score very slightly for these after 100 miles, mainly due to a reduction in versatility really after my initial thoughts. When I did that long run in them, it really didn't work out that well. It wasn't unpleasant, just didn't have that pizzazz, the spark to light the blue touch paper. So I'll reduce my value score down to 2.8 out of 3 after 100 miles for the Energy 3. So this is still a top pickup for me if you can find one. An ideal daily mile crusher with great comfort and on-point durability. If I've totaled the scores up correctly, that gives us a 10.9 out of 12 after 100 miles for the Reebok FloatRide Energy 3. Have you picked up a pair of these recently, guys? Are you enjoying them? Let me know your foot feel thoughts down in the comments. We just got the Christmas tree up. It's looking pretty fine, guys, I have to say. Did get me in the mood. We had some Christmas music on. One of those tracks was from the Eels. Everything's Gonna Be Cool this Christmas. I think this one released about 1998. I remember picking up a CD single of it around that period. There's some breakneck drumming on here. Very excitable, I think the drummer must have been on that day. Lots of sleigh bells, as you would expect. And some nice tremolo electric guitar as well. Really gives that Christmassy vibe. Lyrics are great as well on here. He's really on point on this one. Talking about how people are looking for him down at the house and the tree is looking very inspired. Also features a fantastic line, Baby Jesus, Born to Rock. Before the whole band, you know, push through and turn the volume up to 11. This mad, sort of chaotic, unruly electric organ later in the track as well to finish things off, and it all ends in this cacophony of noise, which is really exciting and quite liberating, in fact. It's kind of like when you're a little kid, you know, and you're ripping open the presents and getting really excited, and you know, and then you slip over on your skateboard, and yeah, that happened. Do go and check this one out, guys. I think you'll really enjoy it. Everything's Gonna Be Cool this Christmas by Eels. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of today's video, guys. Always appreciated. You can help the channel out by picking up some merch. Don't miss out. Get it for Christmas. And also hit that subscribe button, but also click the bell below for notifications when we roll those new videos out for you. Like some sort of video combine harvester. Remember to give this video a candy cane and also share it with your enemies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you